Kokichi, I love you, I said, cupping his cheek while gently brushing my thumb over his skin. I smiled down at him while an adorable blush came across his cheeks. I love it when we are able to be like this, together, where the only company is that of the other, where we can just look at each other without the worry of others stopping to stare.
I love you most, my beloved,
He said in a teasing tone, before hearing his phone buzz from the side of the table. He groaned and got out of my lap, moving over to go and get his phone. I frowned because he got out of my embrace, but I soon followed him and stayed by his side. As he stopped and picked up his phone, I wrapped my arms around his waist before smiling. I didn't like having to be away from him, so how was going to school going to work? Because I'm sure it's going to hurt me to not be able to be this close to him all the time. What is it? I asked as he opened his phone. The screen showed 3 new messages from Kyoko. He opened his phone and quickly went to messaging.
Messages from Kyoko,
he said before I read them over his shoulder. He is shorter than me, and this makes me smile because then I can just lean over his shoulder to look at his book or anything he may be reading or working on. I also love being able to hold him while he sleeps in my arms. It makes me feel like I can protect him, and it makes me feel safe, and it makes me feel safer knowing he is there in my arms. Kyoko, people may be confused why you both missed school. Don't mention anything about it, or you could possibly get in trouble for skipping out of school with each other. Kyoko, you should start feeling the effects of the blood drinking lessen after about an hour or so. Kyoko, Kathy wants to check in with you guys, so after school tomorrow, meet Kathy and I at her house. So Kathy wants to know how the blood drinking affected him. After he was reading them for a moment, I grabbed my own phone on the side table where we were standing and saw similar messages from Kyoko. It made me wonder why she didn't just send them to the group before she sent me another message. Kyoko, you may feel the urge to drink again soon, but know that the formula won't work while you are at this stage. I have talked to Kokichi about this, and we will bring it up in the meeting. I looked at my phone for a moment, and after a few moments, I smiled and focused on holding on to Kokichi. I'm going to have to do this again, but he's going to act that way again. What if it happens at school? I shook my head for a moment, letting those thoughts leave my mind. He shook his head before looking up at me after turning around to face me.
Suichi, I got all my homework done. So, is there anything you would like to do?
He asked, putting a hand on my shoulder. When his hand moved onto my shoulder, I blushed and looked down for a moment. I wanted to cuddle him again and couldn't really focus on anything else because of how much I wanted to do it. I felt embarrassed about this fact because the look on Kokichi's face told me he already knew what I wanted.
You want to cuddle, don't you, love?
He said with a smirk. Without another word, he pushed me onto the bed and made himself comfortable in my arms. The sheets were all messed up around the two of us, while he was comfortably laying against my chest as I let my arms wrap around his waist. If I could pick any place I could be in the world, it would be here in this moment. Because for the first time in my life, there is something that can always make me feel more at ease. Being with Kokichi always calmed me down. No matter where or when, being with him was all I wanted. Later, dinner's ready whenever the both of you would like to come down, Inaki yelled from behind the door. I was surprised by the sudden loud sound, but didn't think much of it because Kokichi didn't seem too fazed by it. I held him a little closer to me, out of my want to protect him, but soon loosened my grip. I was certain he didn't even notice. He slowly looked over to the door before looking back over at me.
Do you want to go and get something to eat, my love?
He teased, before I smiled and placed a kiss on his forehead, making him blush a bit. It made me happy that even though I wanted to blush and hide my face, I was still able to make him flustered in return with my own teasing. I want to be able to see him blush and be flustered, but it's harder for me to do that than it is for him to make me all flustered. Let's go downstairs then, I said, fixing my hair. He blushed more. I was confused as to why he was blushing more by the way I was fixing my hair. What was he thinking about? And what made him blush? I didn't let these thoughts bother me too much, because I knew he wouldn't give me an honest answer about that. Not because he isn't honest with me about what he's thinking, but there is no way he would tell me about something that makes him blush. He grabbed my hand after I finished and moved down the stairs with me. It wasn't a long walk to the dining room, but when we got there, the room was already erupting with chatter. I smiled walking into the room, trying to dismiss the feeling of anxiety I was having from being in the presence of a large group. I know that Kokichi thinks of these people like his own family, so I shouldn't feel so nervous around them.
Leader, you made it!
Anaki yelled over the noise.
Yeah, of course I did.
He teased her, making her laugh. I felt my smile become more genuine as he did this. He is always able to make me smile, even if I'm feeling nervous. And honestly, I love it.
You both can sit at the head of the table,
She said, gesturing to the 2 open spots for us to sit. He nodded at her before she left to go and talk with the others. I felt him looking over at me as we made our way to our seats. I felt even more nervous about it, but I didn't let that bother me, because having him beside me makes me feel more at ease. But I could tell that he was bothered by the fact that I wasn't talking much.
It's okay, you should eat something,
I said, placing my hand on his thigh. He looked over at me, probably confused by my words. I smiled at him before gently letting my hand snake around his waist. I'm sure he was surprised at the fact that I noticed that he was off-put by the way I wasn't talking much. I feel like I was able to see some things about him that others can't, and I'm glad I can, because in that way I can show him that I care and want to help him.